All right, guys, well, it's official, and I wanted you to hear it from me first. I am leaving DDE, and let me tell you why. From the beginning, from the first day I started working with Damon and Dave, I told them that I wanted to work on this project with them, build some insane cars for them for 2 years. That's what I told them. I only want to be here for 2 years. And we are basically at that point now. It has been 2 years, and it is time for me to do something that I've been planning on doing with my family for many, many years. Even back when I was running in Formula Drift, this was my goal, this was our goal, to eventually buy a sailboat and move on to this boat and sail around the world. That's been a passion of mine and a goal for, like I said, quite a while. And we are finally at the point where we're able to make that happen. And this is it. I am leaving DDE, but there's no hard feelings. Damon, Dave, and I are friends. It's just the business side of things that we're going different directions in. And obviously they knew from the beginning that I was going to leave. I wasn't a permanent fixture at DDE. So it is what it is. I had a lot of fun while I was there. We built some insane cars, and obviously you guys got to know me through that. If you didn't know me already from Formula Drift or racing or whatever it might have been, I'm sure most of you know me through their channel, which I'm grateful for, because that allows me to carry this on and bring some of you guys along my new journey, which is going to be absolutely insane. I know I'm getting into a lot. It's a whole different, man, it's just a different lifestyle altogether. I've been here in this shop since I think 2001, 2002. So a long time. I started my business here, and it's been a wild ride, but it's time for a change. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've basically accomplished all of my goals that I set out to do in the automotive industry. Professional race car driver, building my own shop, building some absolutely insane cars, which kind of ended on a high with the DDE twin turbo F12. That's kind of my masterpiece. I built that entire car with my vision, obviously with Damon's vision in mind as well. But to see it come to fruition, and now that the car is running and driving, I feel like we built something really special, and I can move on and just go have this adventure with my family on the boat and just get out there and explore the world. So with all that being said, I might not be completely gone from DDE, because the F12 it's running now, but we still need to go testing. We need to dial some things in. So that's gonna take a few months. And then in the foreseeable future, there's more stuff that I'll get into later on in the video. But right now, while we're here in my old shop that I've been in for so many years, I just want to kind of tell you guys a little bit about where I started, where I came from, and what I've done here. I grew up not far from here in Southern California, and I've lived in Southern California my entire life. I have traveled quite a bit, but it was always traveling for racing. So, I mean, I'm truly blessed to be able to say that I've been all over the world. I mean, I've been to the Middle East, I've been to Japan, I've been to China, South Pacific, like all of these absolutely crazy places, but it's always been for racing. So I've always had a very specific purpose for going there, and there's not a lot going on except for me being at the racetrack or bringing my family with me, but we go to the racetrack. So that's one of the reasons we want to kind of change, and we love to travel, we love to explore, but having that specific goal of going there for an event or for a race or for coaching or whatever it might have been, you have a point of being there. So you don't do a lot of sightseeing and a lot of exploring, and that's something that I want to do more of, and just explore new cultures. I find people fascinating, and I find different cultures really eye-opening, and you can kind of understand just people in general, just the human race, by seeing how other people live. And I feel like you become a better person by doing so, and just have a better understanding of how everyone else lives and how everyone else views their lives and their families. All right, so before I get too far off topic, let me take you on a shop tour and just kind of give you a quick look around at this space that I've been in for the last 20 plus years. All right, so this is the main fabrication area, or it was. I had a bunch of different types of materials, so exhaust tubing, U-bends, aluminum stuff. I've still got a ton of steel square tubing, some roll cage tubing stuff over here. We have the mill and all of the mill accessories and tooling. The lathe over here, it's actually from 1947. This thing is, it's just like a relic, but it's built so well that it still works to this day. I loved using that machine. And then a bandsaw. We have a bench grinder. We have a disc sander here. This thing is a beast. One of my favorite tools. I actually bought this, I think when I was 16. This is one of the first piece of fabrication equipment that I bought. And I think I bought this thing for about $400 back in the day. I think I probably sell it for $1,000 today. Other than that, everything's moved out of here. So all of the TIG welders and all the air tools, that's all packed up, and most of it has been sold off. This was where all my toolboxes were, which looks completely empty now. And the only thing that's left here is a window banner from 2017 when I went to compete in the first FIA sanctioned drift event in Japan, in Tokyo. They actually built out a racetrack for us there. I think there were 16 cars that went out there, and I was one of the drivers. So that was absolutely an amazing experience. And I have memories and this window banner from that event. All right, so in here, we have the office space. We have kind of the lunch area. At one point on these shelves over here, I had a bunch of new parts, a lot of trophies that I have no use for anymore, honestly. A bunch of first place stuff from Porsche Owners Club. This is actually one of the first races that I went to in Ensenada Grand Prix, 1997. Man, I've been doing this for a long time. This is a car that I built for a client that we won 3 different Tribute to Le Mans races in. Built this car here in-house when I was 23 years old, and we went out and we won. And here is what used to be my office. My desk with nothing on it. I had a lot of stuff on my desk. I was organized but kind of messy. Over here was trophies and parts and anything that was really valuable that I didn't want to leave out in the shop for whatever reason. We'd put in here if we're taking a really expensive part off a car, which we often were. I also have some Paris Saint-Germain soccer balls. And the reason I have these was the tire company that sponsored me for a while, Achilles, sponsored Paris Saint-Germain. And if you guys go back, you can probably find a couple of videos where I was drifting around some of the highest paid soccer players in the entire world, doing donuts around them, figure eights. Also took them for a ride in a different video in a Mustang in Miami, which was a pretty incredible experience. We had the top down, and I've got 3 of the highest paid soccer players to ever have played in the Mustang with me. When people in traffic in Miami found out who they were in the car, we literally got mobbed. And we had a chase car. They had to grab the guys out of the car and put them into the chase car to like close everything up and protect them. So some pretty cool experiences over the years. Over here we have a couple Porsches that I built for Jeffrey. This is a Boxster that we did a ton of work on. It actually started out as a 2001 Boxster S. We took the 3.2 liter engine out of it and turned it into a 3.8 liter engine, built the transmission, limited slip, did all the suspension work, roll cage, and I drove this car quite a few times and set a lot of lap records for this class. I think at Laguna Seca, I was a second and a half faster than any other car in class. Same thing at Buttonwillow, about 3/4 of a second faster. So this thing is an absolute beast of a machine. It doesn't make a ton of power, but for its class, it handles like, oh man, it is just on rails. And behind me is a Cayman that we built. So this car actually has a 997 Cup car front end. So the Cayman stuff, there's not a lot of aftermarket support. The bumpers don't have really good airflow, good splitter options. So we opted to put this 997 front end on, which bolts on to the Cayman chassis. So we got the Cup car flares, front bumper, fenders, and we were able to run the Cup car front suspension as well. This thing is another awesome car. handles really well, and is a ton of fun to drive. So obviously, I'm sure you guys have seen other shop tours and videos of cars being worked on in other places. This is a pretty big space, and I didn't start here. This was not my first shop. My first shop was actually in Inglewood, and it was split off of another shop, and we had pallet racks that were in between, separating our space from the neighbor's space. That didn't work out too well. The neighbors were a lowrider shop, so every single one of my clients' cars randomly had batteries go missing. Somehow the lowriders always had batteries in them. Well, that didn't last very long. So then I moved from there to a shop in Alhambra, which was also very small and not an ideal location at all for the type of cars that I was working on, because it was pushed up against an alley, and behind this alley was literally a dirt drop off and then train tracks, and not a single set of tracks, but about 10 sets of tracks where they would store all these train cars. And at night, guys would come through here and rob the train car. And I was always working late, because when I started this whole venture into the automotive racing industry, well, I started working on cars when I was 15. I started working at the first shop that I worked at when I was about 15 or 16, and I was just an apprentice. I wasn't getting paid. But after school, I would go over to the shop, sweep the floors, and just learn as much as I possibly could. I worked at a few places after that. I worked at a radiator and air conditioning shop. I worked at a general repair shop. And then I started working at race shops just to build up my knowledge of cars. So when I was 21, not even 21 yet, that's when I opened my first shop in Inglewood, about a year there. And then I moved on to the Alhambra shop, started working on Porsches and Ferraris. And that's when I met Jeffrey, who said, hey, you know what? I got this building. I've just got this kind of my collector cars here. Why don't you move into my shop and you can work on my stuff, and then I don't have to tow my cars down to you. So I accepted, and that's how I ended up in this space. All right, so that's really what I want to show you guys, because I know most of you know me from DDE, but don't really know my previous history and background. And even before I started competing in Formula Drift, all of the stuff that was going on here in this building, how I started my shop and got all that to become what is now S Autosport, which is now not really S Autosport anymore. Enough about that for now. Let me tell you about what we want to do for the future. What are our goals? Well, we have a boat right now, but it's a smaller boat. It's a trimaran, and we've been sailing this boat, actually two boats similar, for the last 9 years or so. I also grew up sailing with a friend of mine from junior high school and his dad. They had a boat. We would go to Catalina Island all the time, which is just off of the coast of Southern California. It's about 30 miles. We would go out there and just have an absolute amazing time being there on the island, living on a boat, and just exploring and kayaking, paddleboarding, hiking the mountains, and meeting new people. It was something that I loved so much, and I love the ocean, and I love nature, and just being out there and being a part of it was really special. But we have a boat now, but it's small, and we can't really live aboard. It's basically boat camping. So I have two daughters. My daughters are 5 or almost 5 and almost 12, and obviously my wife. So there's 4 of us, and I don't want to take them and put them onto a boat where they're going to be uncomfortable. So we're looking at bigger boats. We're looking at a mid 40 foot, 45, 46 foot catamaran. We'll have a very nice living space, either 3 or 4 cabins. So everyone will have their own beds. There's a living area, there's a kitchen. It's basically like a little condo, and that's what we're looking at. We actually have 2 boats in mind right now, and I hope to go see one very, very soon. So obviously stay tuned for that. And if you guys haven't subscribed already, subscribe right now and like it, because, well, I'm gonna try to put out videos every single week, and I don't want you to miss any of this action that we have coming up and planned. I think it'll be a really interesting process. I'm sure most of you don't know about boats or sailing much at all. So bringing you guys along with me and along in this journey to kind of just have that experience and see what it's like, I think will be really interesting. So I hope you guys join me on this absolutely insane change of life that's about to take place for me and my family. And like I was saying, with DDE, well, I don't know what the future holds. Will I ever come back to DDE? I don't know. That's really up to Damon and Dave, and will they have other projects that they want me involved in? It's possible, but it has to make sense for them, obviously, from a content standpoint and a budget standpoint. So I still want to build more cars. I would love to do that, but at the same time, I don't want to do that full time anymore. I really only want to work on very, very special projects that really, really interest me. So little small projects here and there, it's not what I want to do anymore. So that's why I'm moving on. We're going to get a boat and we're going to sail off into the sunset, and you guys can come along with me on that journey, and I hope you do. So thank you guys so much for watching this, and I truly hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you stay with us along this journey. This might be the one. This boat's available in the Caribbean. Guys, make sure you stay tuned because you know I'm gonna film this. Let's go to the Caribbean and check out this boat.